What's up? Happy Saturday. One person, wow. Wow, wow, wow. My name's Dub Digital. I talk about crypto online twice a week, typically. Sometimes it's 3 times a week. This is the third time this week. Usually Tuesdays, Thursdays, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Today, Saturday morning-ish, whatever. Good day. What's up, man? How you been? Good to see you. 3 people as you filter on in here. Make sure to follow me on X. It's at Dub Digital, that just spelled with 2 U's. And then on YouTube, that's I'm streaming on both places at Dub Digital. Welcome, people. Welcome, people. Good to see you. Glad to catch your live stream, Terry Mack. Thanks for showing up, bro. Thanks for showing up. It's a Saturday, man. It's a Saturday. Beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Not so beautiful in crypto, but it's not that bad, though. It's not that bad. Yeah, I know. I know. The title's clickbait. So what? Sue me. No, it's not the end for Bitcoin, man. It's not the end for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's chilling. It's chilling. It's chilling. We could look at it. But this stream is probably gonna be pretty chill. If anything, you guys want to hop on talk, we can do that too. It's the weekend, bro. We all need a little time off. We all need a little time off. Let's see what's happening. Share my screen. Let's do the heat check. Cool. Bitcoin 68K. So we're below the ATH of last cycle. Once again, I told you guys, once you definitively break above, we've marginally broke above, came below. We got to stay above. When that happens, then FOMO rockets start to turn on. But typically when that happens, we're not just barely above. I mean, 72, 73 is kind of barely above. It's like a couple percentages above the all-time high. I'm talking about like blast through. Make people understand that this thing's not coming back. Like that's what it means. 73 is kind of like, is it gonna go down again? And it did. Right. So like the fear is still there, especially I believe the fear is getting pronounced because of the last all-time high, right? Let's go click on a Bitcoin to show you what I'm talking about. People still got people are still like going through PTSD after this marginal high. Remember? So this is reminding a lot of people of the peak that occurred in October 2021. Right? We went to 62 or 64, whatever the hell, came back down, went back up, and came down and went to a bear market. A lot of people are scared about that possibility. And this is reminding them of that, especially because this was unexpected. They're really playing defensive and they're trying to be like, oh, shoot, like I better get out. A lot of people are still on the boat, like on the fence about Bitcoin, whether it's going to new all-time highs, like much farther than here, or it's going to go into a new bear market because so many people got wrecked last time. You know what I mean? So the FOMO jets aren't completely here. And it might be hard to believe because like we saw a bunch of those meme coins popping off like as if they were. But check this out. Book of Meme is #1 gainer, 2,400%. So it's not completely gone either, right? I just think that most people are hesitant right now. It's probably a lot of money on the sidelines, one of the stables trying to buy a bottom. But there's still people transitioning some of their stuff into Bitcoin. You could see that. Like this is still pretty indicative that there's a good amount of froth here. So we're starting to see the sentiment get split. You know what I mean? And that's why I say do these heat checks. I mean, if anything, yeah, the volumes on CoinMarketCap aren't perfect, okay? Like nothing's perfect. Sometimes people manipulate the numbers, but it gives you an aggregate understanding of what the market's thinking. So let's go to 7-day, filter it down. #1, Book of Memes. #2, Jupiter. That's a Solana project, right? Solana, the ecosystem has been going ham. going straight ham. Everything Solana kind of looks like this, which is pretty crazy. What else is there? Pith Network, Oracles, 46%. Whenever you start to see Oracles towards the top, you know that DeFi is coming back. We looked at total DeFi market cap. It's obviously going up higher than it's going lower. We'll look at it in a second. Avalanche, 32%. Solana, 31%. Toncoin, I heard about this, 28%. Dog Whiff Hat. It's good to go to the memes and see what a little bit of adversity does to the memes. So it went from $3, it's almost lost $1. I mean, you know, anything that goes up fast goes down fast. That's the nature of the asset. It tells you a lot about the mind of the investor because prices are dictated. They're dictated by the people investing in it, right? Right. The price chart is basically people hitting the buy button versus people hitting the sell button. So, you know, you could see meme culture is a lot of like crowding in. A lot of crowding. But when there's some adversity and the easy money's gone, because that's what people want in meme coins, easy money, they bail. Right. So, like, if you make money on memes, you got to take profits eventually, periodically. You know what I mean? But no, this is a clickbait title. I know. Come on, man. I never do them. This is my first one in a long time. Bitcoin's not dead. Bitcoin's just like, you know, doing its thing. Let's check out Bitcoin USD. Why not? While we're at 18 people. So happy to have you. If you haven't liked, please like. I don't ask for your money, but don't mean I don't appreciate a like or a subscribe. Come on. So this is Bitcoin and Bitstamp. This is the fib channel we talked about last time on the weekly. Okay. Going all the way back to pretty much 2011, 2010. Didn't have no chart because, hey, let me get this out of here. A lot of people didn't even know Bitcoin was around until like 2011. But okay. So we're sitting right around all-time highs again of 2021. Okay. Consolidated. Now we're heading back up. We've moved up a good amount since November 2023. Went up about 58%, consolidated for approximately 56 days. Then we had a big leg up without giving anything back, another 60%. Right? So either we're going to give some back or we're going to consolidate just like we did here. Okay, but like nothing goes up forever. We shouldn't expect that. But you know, this is a big line of contention right here. This is probably our biggest sticking point. This is going to be our biggest sticking point getting out of here. Okay. So if you blow through a momentum, that means this thing's going to be very exponential. It's going to spike pretty hard. We talked about that. This is a very critical moment in Bitcoin's price, right? I know you want to come up in here and be like, "Yo, well, tell me what's going to happen." It's like, bro, I don't know what people are telling you on other channels, but no one knows what's going to happen. What you can do, though, is stay very close to the news, very close to what's happening in the space. And based off how the space reacts, how Bitcoin's price reacts, gives you a little more insight as to what's going to happen in the future. So, you know, there's some things that could push this thing through with momentum, you know, but it doesn't have a lot to do with crypto. It has a lot to do with monetary policy, right? If the Fed comes out and I don't know if you guys know, but the Fed meets in 4 days. Talk about what they're going to do with interest rates. I mean, you know, we'll see what happens there. The reverse repo lending facility is approaching like a level where JP Morgan said we're at critical like threshold as to like to be able to maintain the banking system. The banking system's kind of on shaky legs right now. So we'll have to see. And if they don't drop rates in March 20th, then they have another meeting in June. Okay? We got to pay attention to that. Because there's one thing that pushes risk on assets up, and that's lower interest rates. Right now, we've had periodically like very high interest rates for the time. It's not the highest in U.S. history. Highest U.S. history is like in the 20s, if you could believe that, in the 70s. That's what Paul Volcker did in response to the 70s inflation. Spiked interest rates up 20%, bringing down inflation, but like hurting a lot of assets, right? So I don't think we're there yet. I think that day is going to come, and I think that's what's going to bring an end to the crypto bull run. We'll get there later. That's not going to happen just now because they still have some tools in their tool belt, right? They have reducing interest rates. They said last year that they're going to reduce interest rates. Now the time's come. If they don't fulfill that promise, They're losing credibility yet again at a time where credibility for the Fed is at historic lows, right? So you get what I'm saying here. The reason I feel that we're going to see some kind of continued move up is not because of Bitcoin. It's because the environment of which Bitcoin exists. Like, we can't let everything fall apart right now. And even if it does, right? Even if they don't raise it, they're just risking a systemic collapse, right? And what happens when the Fed has a systemic collapse? They come in and they print money. So either way you look at it, bro, we got them where we want them. You just have to have faith, have faith that the Fed has never just said, we're just going to let it collapse, ever. When has the Fed ever done that since 1913? Never. Because to do that, they would lose control. They don't want to lose control. So they're gonna pump this thing at some point. And it all depends on when they start reversing on their course. That all depends on how Bitcoin's gonna go. Is it gonna be in June? That'll suggest that we'll probably top towards the end of the year. Is it gonna be now? That suggests we're gonna top sooner than that. And when we start moving up definitively above this part, it's gonna tell us how high it's gonna go, because this fib channel raises in its incline over time, right? So if it goes to December, we talked about it, that's suggesting a potential top around $350,000. If it's somewhere in freaking summer, around 200, low 200s. I've stated get defensive around 150, right? We talked about scaling out. We talked about selling in tranches. I just did this nice thing. So every time I come up on YouTube, we can look at the chart and then we can actually see the price in the shade of red. The darker the shade of red indicates the more risk. Higher the profit, but higher the risk. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Let's go a little closer on the daily. Bitcoin broke above, came and sat on about the all-time high, which is not a bad sign, right? It can go down a little bit more. The RSI is in kind of like a head and shoulders kind of thing, but whatever. It's not looking super bad, guys. I know what the title says, but it's not looking that bad. It's just a progression of a market. You take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. If you take 6 steps forward, then you could take 5 steps back. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But I talked about the DeFi market cap, right? About oracles. This is what the DeFi market cap, all the money wrapped up in DeFi protocols looks like. We don't need the volume. Get this out of here. It's crap. Cool. This is total DeFi market cap. Again, everything raised off its bottom in late 2023. Bitcoin started doing its major impulses. We saw around November, October 2023. This thing raised off its bottom, the total DeFi market cap, 80% in October 2023. It went sideways for about 42 days. Then the second impulse, much like Bitcoin, went up about 65, 70%. Isn't it funny, guys? Everything's moving together. It's almost like the whole space is correlated. It's true. It's not because Bitcoin's special. It's not because any of that. It's because risk was on during those times. We have to pay attention to when the environment is ripe for price appreciation of cryptocurrencies, not just Bitcoin. Bitcoin might be the first, but it isn't the greatest. And I think Bitcoin Maxi started to realize that. If you're new to Bitcoin, welcome. I'm glad you found Bitcoin. But Bitcoin usually is not the fastest horse in the race. It was just the first horse in the race. Alts are going to have their day in the sun. I'm betting on it. I stake not my reputation on it, my finances on it. I practice what I preach, man. And I guarantee you by the end of this bull run, a lot of Bitcoin maxis are going to be FOMOing into altcoins. We shall see. We shall see. Good day. What's up, man? I said that. True. Jonathan, Soto, Greg. What's good, man? How you been? Good? How's life treating you? Let's go to Bitcoin dominance. This is the chart. This is the chart. This is my chart right here. This is my chart. I haven't seen a lot of YouTubers talking about this. This is my chart. I'm claiming this thing. Check this. Bitcoin dominance and through its whole life cycle. We had the first altcoin season. If you guys don't know about this, first altcoin season in 2017. Reason is we start to see some drops in 2016, maybe even 2014, because that's when the first altcoins started popping up in the scene. This was like red coin, feather coin, Litecoin, stuff like that. Doge. I believe Doge was around 2014. Yeah. Right here was Ethereum. You start to see a big, poof, big drop. I mean, a lot of other ones too. Freaking Civic, all those kind of old coins, right? Then you see this big 2017, the biggest altcoin season we ever saw in our lives. This is like, even OGs talk about it. I was on Hash It Out with Blind Dave, Clint Westwood, Xavier, and Crypto Blood. Crypto Blood was saying 2017, he ain't never seen anything like it. No one in crypto has ever seen anything like 2017. It was crazy, right? And you can see in the drop in Bitcoin dominance, that's why it was crazy. More money that has ever flown out of Bitcoin flew out of Bitcoin and went in altcoins. But you'll notice every single time this goes down, that's a bullish sentiment for Bitcoin. Every time this chart goes up, that's a bear market, right? Now you'll say, why does Bitcoin rise in a bear market? It's because it's the perceived store of value in crypto. People would rather be in a Bitcoin if they're going to stay in crypto to a bear market because it tends to lose less on percentage. Now it still loses a whole bunch, but it's still like holds its value a little better, right? It might get crushed 70%, alts get crushed 95%. You know what I mean? So it's like, marginally better, but if you had to stay in it. When it goes sideways, I mean, it doesn't really go sideways. This was 2019 to 2020. This was probably like, this is probably like a DeFi season, DeFi summer, right? Around here, we rose up and then we had this coronavirus came. And then Bitcoin had a spike in dominance because the DXY got stronger than it ever got during coronavirus. Like everyone sold their stuff. So if you go to DXY, you'll see a big spike on it too. So you'll start to see that Bitcoin dominance tends to rise with dollar strength, which gets a little still confusing. But you have to understand the dynamic as to why is it going on. And then right here, we had 2020. This is where Bitcoin went from wherever it was to about 64, 68,000. And then we had a 2 year, about a year going like this. And then we've been rising this cone ever since. So from November 2021, this macro rising wedge. Rising wedges are typically, not always, but usually 60% of the time reversal patterns. And I think as we've been watching this thing since October, when I found it, it's been showing its hand that it's going to drop because it's violated the structure multiple times. And let's go to daily. You'll start to see. It's a process to drop, guys. You don't drop right away. If you look right here, this was approximately a whole bunch of chop. I remember this. This was 62 days of just going buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, and fell out of bed, right? You go back to 2017. Look at this crap. Every red and green candle suggests like chaos. It's like crazy. This thing gapped down. I'll tell you is the process of dropping sometimes takes a while, but then it drops with a quickness, and alts gain a lot of value in a short amount of time. Usually altcoin summer lasts about 3 months, 2 to 3 months. That's it, right? So don't be holding on your altcoins thinking they're going to stay up that valuation forever. The chart does not suggest that. But what I am saying is the closer we get to this point, which happens to be at the halving, which is hilarious, altcoins are going to drop at some point. It's already out of the structure. What else you wanted to do? What do you think is going to do? Just climb out and start going up again? No, that's ridiculous. Basically, everyone knows now that this thing's going to fall. Everyone, their mom. So it's interesting, man. The real question is not now if it's going to fall. We know it's going to fall. The real question now is how far will it fall? Okay. Conservatively speaking, it can at least go to 38%. And that's pretty much the same drop we had last time. So if you were happy with some of the, alt gains last time, that's great. But notice something. That's a conservative bet because notice something about the structure of the rising wedge. This rising wedge is 3 times smaller than this rising wedge, and we got a similar drop pattern. This, in theory, should be a larger drop. Now, the reason I'm a little hesitant about that, I'm not ruling it out. But what I'm saying I'm a little hesitant about it is because we have two areas of resistance. We touched this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times at the 38.9% Bitcoin dominance. And then we have an all-time low that we've never hit before, all the way back in January 2018 at about 36% altcoin dominance. So this might be sticking points. We might bounce off, continue lower, but this whole structure suggests that the drop should be bigger. And if this thing happens to go through the floor, we will have the biggest altcoin season we've ever seen in our entire lives. But that's if and buts, candies, nuts, man. I'm just telling you the possibilities of what's possible. What's possible. We will have more insight as this thing plays out. I am just a dude that charts on crypto and likes to invest in crypto. I am not a mind reader. And when? So, I mean, look, I think we're going to get a consistent, well, and when what? But if we're talking about altcoin season, I'm thinking we're going to see something at least start to pop off around April. That's not me guessing. We have the halving coming through, right? The halving's typically bullish. Just everyone knows Bitcoin tends to go up after the halving. But that structure suggests it. I mean, look, this thing comes to a fruition the 24th of April. The halving's like the mid of April, right? I don't know what causes that. See, that's the thing with charting. Charting kind of precedes events. If you look at a chart and you're saying, well, I don't know what's going to occur, but this thing suggests this is going to happen at that date, you never know the fundamental reason or the narrative. But all of a sudden, a narrative appears, right? See, that's the problem, guys. A lot of people try to figure out crypto through narratives. Narratives are lagging indicators. Charting is like a preceding indicator, right? And that's why a lot of people just like chart. I like to know both, right? Because sometimes it's hard to keep a strong conviction just through charting alone. But when I see a shit like a formation coming up on a chart that I don't understand what the hell it is, I've ignored it enough times in my career to know that that's a mistake. Don't ignore it. I don't know how charting does it. It's weird that geometry on a chart can do that, but it can. Blind Dave, what's good, man? Sharing vid. Appreciate you, bro. If you guys have not subscribed to Blind Dave, great dude. OG in the space. Think he got around 2013. And yeah, knows what he's talking about. Make sure to sub to him. Yeah, guys. Total 3. Let's look at total 3. What the hell? But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people now coming out saying Bitcoin dominance is going to fall. It's the way it always goes, guys. They always say Bitcoin, oh my goodness, is like alt's not going to moon this cycle? Like, is it just going to be Bitcoin? Then they come up with like all these reasons, right? Like all these reasons to kind of justify like why Bitcoin's just going to outperform like and kill everything. They always do that every cycle, guys. Because it's ETFs. Money's not all like flowing into altcoins. Oh, because of this. Oh, because of that. Oh, because Bitcoin hyperization. Oh, because Bitcoin standard. Oh, because Bitcoin gold. Like they do this every time. The maxis get happy. They start to say, oh, we're the only ones going to get rich. You guys are dumb. Like this is the main thing in crypto, guys, that I've noticed. A lot of people in crypto, they like to be a little arrogant, right? Not like making gains isn't good enough. They got to put people down. Don't be that person, man. We could all win. We can all win because we're on a alternative bet to the fiat currency system. Crypto isn't necessarily Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus this versus Doge. You guys are dumb. We're smart. That's not what crypto is, man. Crypto is a bet against the dollar. We are not enemies here. And we're all going to profit. We're all going to profit. As long as you're not in the rug pulls or some stupid stuff. We're like, we're all going to profit. And we should all be happy that we profit. Bitcoin's going to have its turn. I'm happy for the people holding mainly Bitcoin. Good for you. I'm all about diversification. You don't got to be all one or the other. This ain't no gang, bro. Like we're not banging out here. We could have everything. We could win all the time. It's all good. 37 people, what's up? Let's check it out. Okay. This is altcoin total 3 excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, the reason this is important is because Bitcoin and Ethereum, for the most part, they affect the market cap greatly. If they go down, they bring like the total they bring the total one down a lot, right? We want to see what's happening with everything else besides those two, because those two are pretty much, like in my mind, the only two blue chips. Those are the only two blue chips in the space. These other coins are blue chips, they're not. They're not blue. They're all grouped into total 3. The total 3 tells you like how frothy the altcoin sector is for real, like the broader altcoin sector, because that's where all the gains are at, right? That's where a lot of risk is at. That's where the gains are at. Okay, this thing was in a rising triangle or ascending triangle, my bad. And this is basically how high the market cap could go. You do a measured move. That's basically what the stick is here. It gets us around 7 trillion bucks, more or less. Might be a little under, might be a little more. Around 7 trillion bucks. That's a lot. That means a lot of money is supposed to be coming to altcoin sector. Now, with that said, what's it going to do before it gets there? Will it come down and retest? Maybe. Will it continue to blow up? Maybe. Will it just go to this part, correct, go up? Maybe. Like, I'm not telling you how it's going to get there. This isn't a day trading channel. This is a macro investing channel. I'm telling you, this is where it's going. By the end of the cycle, this is where it says it's going to go. You know what I mean? And I don't know why that's crazy, because in 2017, altcoin market cap rose up 2,000, almost 3,000%. This is just suggesting out of the breakout, I can't see. This is rising up 1,259%. And it's only going approximately 520% over the all-time high in November 2021 of 1.1 trillion. Since 2017 high to 2021 high, it rose up about 214%. That's why a lot of people said this was kind of lackluster for altcoins in 2021, because it's not what we saw in 2017 for sure. But what this is suggesting, this one that this measure move is saying, and measure moves aren't just me making it up. That's something that's true. Like in charting, 506%. So more than double of what we saw last time. So there should be more money flowing around all up in altcoins. Altcoins are very low right now. And I've talked about, guys, that what we've seen on altcoins isn't the inflation about altcoins. It's just the re-inflating of altcoins. They're so on the floor, so crushed to death, that a little bit of money that came out of Bitcoin is starting to find its way in altcoins again. And I'm going to show you on the dominance how little bit of money have actually found itself in altcoins. We have not seen this. You have not seen any, dang it. Whatever, I don't need that. Anything like this. We have just seen a freaking drop of maybe 5%. Then it came back. And then maybe 3%. Guys, these things are reacting violently to a couple percentage of money, like liquidity from Bitcoin finding its way in there. What happens when we get this? What happens if you get this? That's what I'm saying, guys. It's all about the opportunity. Yeah, you can get a 2x in Bitcoin. That's cool. I mean, it's not bad, right? But it's not great. Let's be honest. It ain't great. Look, if you're stupid rich already, you got billions, you don't really need to take the added risk of altcoins. I get it. There's different bags for different folks, different money. If you're a billionaire, you don't, once you get rich enough, you don't need to take added risk. You know, like, what are you going to do with $1 trillion bucks? Like, you could lose $1 billion, make $1 trillion, but you probably couldn't spend $1 trillion on anything in your whole lifetime. You know what I mean? So at that point, you're more about preservation. And these people coming in with billions of bucks, they're more about maybe getting a double. Instead of having 1 billion, they have 2 billion. I could even spend $1 billion without being a jerk. What am I doing with $1 billion bucks, bro? You know what I mean? So like, I get it. I get why people find themselves there. But if you're, a little minnow and you're thinking Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million, you're going to be freaking mistaken, bro. Like, you're going to be disappointed this cycle. Altcoins, on the other hand, are more of a contrarian play. They're newer. A lot of people think 2017 was just a flash in the pan. They could think that. But we know what altcoins are. Altcoins are the services that fill up the digital economy. We call it the economy of tomorrow, right? Okay. So does the economy, even though when it had a gold standard, did it only have gold? No. No. They had bonds. They had all this kind of stuff. They had all these products. They had all these services, right? They had lending still. They had to have collateral to lend against, but there was lending. No, Bitcoin doesn't really allow that if it's just Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not just going to be the only thing, guys. Like, it's so ridiculous to hear this. Because these people, they talk and they don't understand monetary policy and monetary theory. Like, how are we going to just go back to feudalism like that? It's ridiculous. They don't even understand that going back to feudalism means that basically most of the world is going to die. If there can't be any kind of expansion for business expansion, any kind of lending against it. Do you understand what that means? From a real world, I don't think they do, man. And that's why it's not going to happen. We're going to see the proliferation of altcoins to fill in the holes and give alternatives to the traditional financial system that we're used to. And we will not go into this new system without. This system should be better than the last system we left, not worse. And it can still be better. It just means the reserve asset within the system has to be solid. That's it. To be honest, guys, the gold standard was fine. It was fine if they actually held it, right? The dollar was murking everything, guys. The dollar was killing it. But the dollar's downfall was the introduction of the Federal Reserve and Bretton Woods removing the backing from the dollar. The reason that happened is because France was like, yo, I can give you this paper and I get gold. Here, keep taking it. Keep taking it. They took tons of gold from the U.S. The U.S. closed the window. They said temporarily. It ended up being permanently. But in theory, if we were ran by immutable robots that couldn't trap us and do all crazy stuff, they actually upheld the rule, the gold standard would have worked. Bitcoin is the attempt at doing that, a new attempt, and a better attempt at doing that because it removes the trust out of the system. That's why they call it permissionless, trustless. Because in theory, if we didn't have untrustworthy people managing the currency, everything would have been good. It's the people that's the problem. Love it when you were smug. Ha ha ha. Man. Bro, I launched that token, 41K, then 51K all-time high, and we about to go again. Told you, bro, get in contact. The universe is calling. Yeah, I mean, I checked my Adam, I checked my freaking messages. I didn't see anything from you, man. So I'll drop my email. Email me here. I didn't see anything in Twitter at all. Anyone else, if you have any business inquiries or whatever, is that how I spell it? You can email me here, but reach out to me there, man. Obviously, Twitter's doing something. Maybe I have that only verified accounts could message me on Twitter. I'm not sure, but I didn't see anything. Yeah, man. I can't help but be smug sometimes, man, because I've been up out here spitting the truth, man, for years, spitting the truth. And I see these other channels get so big and they know nothing. And it's hard to take sometimes. Man. 47 people, what's up? Look, guys, I hope you know. You need to understand what Bitcoin is. And if you understand Bitcoin, you read the white paper, you know the history, you know what Bitcoin initially was trying to solve and what it's trying to fight against. A lot of these narratives up here, they don't even make sense. You know? Thanks, bro. Maybe I contacted fake account. We'll do smugs good. We've been through the trenches. Yeah, man. Been through the trenches. Dang. Yeah, a lot of this stuff, man. Bitcoin go to 1,000,000,000,000,000,000. Bitcoin being bought by BlackRock, this and that. Yes, BlackRock entering the space is good, but it's not like why Bitcoin was made. I say it's good that ETFs are here because it's going to increase my purchasing power and it's going to increase yours. But as far as Bitcoin's concerned, you could see what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to corral it. They're trying to keep it from going on the layer 1 to some kind of layer 2 that they control, right? Just like banks started corralling dollars and putting them in accounts. We don't typically touch the dollars, huh? Is that funny? You go to you pull out some like a little card or take out your phone, you go beep, and you pay for something, and some things happen on your screen, and it subtracts some numbers, and then you said you spent $20, but you didn't touch a $20 bill. You see, they always try to corral the collateral. They don't want you to have it. It's because they really want the control, right? So the same thing with Bitcoin. They're going to legislate banks holding crypto. Watch, guarantee you. They're going to do that in a year or two or whatever. It's going to happen. And JP Morgan's going to custody your Bitcoin. And check it out. The government's going to come through and they're going to try to make illegal like self-custody wallets. And it's only going to be legal to be held in the banks under the guise of anti-money laundering laws. But then they'll start having controls on it where you can't spend it. You can't take it out. And they're probably going to make it very expensive on chain to transact, even if you wanted to, because they can't stop it completely. Guys, this has been done before. BlackRock didn't just get in here because they are nice dudes. There's always some kind of alternative motive, bro. What's your thought on BSV? Man, BSV is interesting. I think BSV is interesting. I think that's an asymmetric opportunity. Whether or not Craig Wright is Satoshi doesn't really mean much to me. What I think is interesting is all the patents held by nChain. I think at some point patent law is going to come into play here. And the reason I say that is because the United States is granting patents. If they didn't think it was like important and they didn't have some kind of weird plan in the background, why would they grant the patents without ever acknowledging the patents? Because the United States, a large portion of our GDP is from patents. We are an inventor nation. Okay? So if they start not respecting patent law, that's a very dangerous precedent for the United States GDP. I used to work in aerospace and defense. It is all IP. It is all IP. Okay? So, like, I used to work in a very IP dominated industry. I used to work directly with IP lawyers. If they start doing that, then Boeing's got to be worried about it. And Lockheed Martin and Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, I think IP is going to be come knocking on the door. And it's going to flip the space upside down. But with that said, it doesn't mean you got to be all up in Bitcoin SV. That means you just got to be exposed to it. That's asymmetric play, right? You have a little bit. I have some coins in my wallet that I don't plan on spending. I don't plan on trading this cycle. It's a lottery ticket. I'm going to hold it up in my wallet and I'm going to see what happens. And if it plays out, oh my. You know what I mean? Is it a lot of money? No, not really. It's a good little, I'll say this for a rainy day because to be honest, man, I always have those. I look at things where like, what if this happens? And then I get a little bit of it and then I hold it because that's what Bitcoin was to me in 2013. I said, if this happens, I don't need a lot of them to make a lot of money. And that's exactly what happened. Sometimes these things actually play out. So you can feel how you want about Craig Wright, whatever, but don't let your feelings pick up a little Bitcoin SV in a very, very small chance that thing comes and just wrecks the whole market. I don't got no allegiance, man. I don't care. I'll hold something I don't like in a small chance that like I just want to win. You know what I mean? You guys got to think of that. You just want to win. Don't get wrapped up in your feelings about it. You could get 1, 2, whatever. I like things people don't like. On the small chance they're wrong, then I make a lot of money. And that's hilarious to me. 55 people, what's up? Dubs knows his stuff, people. Appreciate you. Craig going to jail. Some patents of Enchain are solid. However, Enchain patents don't mean liquidity and licensing is going to BSV purse. Craig could go to jail. I could still have my BSV. I don't care. See, that's the thing, man. I'm gonna hold it. I don't care. What does it hurt me to hold it? See, that's the thing. Like, it's all about diversification. That's why I hold Bitcoin Cash too. In the chance that Bitcoin fees get too freaking high, Bitcoin Cash is there. And they're better, what do you call it? Asymmetric risk opportunity plays to me. I mean, look, if BTC stays number one, it's cool. But even in the BlackRock ETF, what do you call it? The paper, the whole like thing explaining what the product is. Forgot what the word is. They talk about how like one of the risk is if the market starts to prefer another flavor of Bitcoin, another fork of Bitcoin. Even they acknowledge it. But hey, we can act like we know what's going to happen exactly. That's fine too. Chances are big it will do some moves upwards because of it, whether that's fundamental or the sell the news. But what are fundamentals, man? What are fundamentals? While we're here, let's talk about what are fundamentals. What are the fundamentals of Bitcoin? The only real fundamental of Bitcoin that matters besides all the forks after it, is its adoption. It's what people agree to right now. Markets are just sentiment, right? We all agree that Bitcoin's expensive because that's what we like. That's what we agree. At some other point where we see Bitcoin is not that expensive, it's going to be less expensive. That's what happens every bull market and bear market, right? But, that could change. It could change. And I'm all about the change. The profit is in the change, Not saying I don't have Bitcoin, but it's not saying I don't have Bitcoin Cash. It's not saying I won't have a little Bitcoin SV either. The way I see it, man, like, because I had Bitcoin in 2013, I've been getting these forks, Keep the freaking fork. In the chance that like the fork freaking, I don't know, starts to do better. But I know it's hard to like see a future where Bitcoin could lose a lot of its dominance. But I love looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart, and it suggests that Bitcoin is losing more of its dominance every single cycle. You know what I mean? That's what the Bitcoin dominance chart says. This is crypto. Anything can happen. You're winning, bro. Wolfpack, Blind Dave, what's good? As soon as we get an alt run, I'm buying a 2016 Acura at MDX. I like that, Earl. That's good. See, what is that? 5 years? Nah, a little more than 5. Okay, whatever, man. If you go over 5 years of used car, it's like the most appreciated it could get. I like that. See, Earl's a man after my own heart. Yeah, my like freaking, what do you call it? My dream car is ridiculous. So like not dream car-ish. It's a Toyota Tacoma 2004. 2024. Dude, I'm a functional guy. Telling you. But you'll notice, guys, you can get rich. A lot of people get rich. It's staying rich. That's the problem. Most people can't stay rich to save their lives. That's the problem, man. Right? Like, wealth is just an equation of in versus out. If you spend more than you bring in, you will be poor again. If you spend more than you bring in, you will lose money. You will whittle away your capital. It's all about like, still got to live within your means, even when you make a lot of money. You know what I mean? Dream car is 2005 Ford GT. There you go, bro. You can do it. I believe in you. Dub, my man. What do you think about Corium? It bridges XRP to Cosmos and ETH. Only 500 million token supply. To be honest, man, like obviously I'm biased in this because I've worked at WanChain before. But WanChain bridges Ethereum to Dogecoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. Like it does more. See, the problem with these, like I'm not saying it won't do well because I know Hedera has like Hashport and it bridges what does it call it? Hedera to Ethereum, and that gets some usage because it's like a ecosystem product and stuff. But like whenever I see these bridges and they're very limited, I just see a limited bridge, you know? Like I think at some point, like people are gonna find out that there's gonna be bridges that do more and connect their asset to more places, and then it can lose traction. But if it is an XRP project, it could do well in the short to medium run, right? Because it's just what they know, and typically communities kind of congregate towards their ecosystem projects. If it's not an ecosystem project, I don't think that well of it. But that's the thought process between it. You know, there are some bridges connecting XRP already. Yeah, man. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see. We'll see. Well, I'm along for the ride. I have to be. I'm stuck up in this thing. I'm sure a lot of you invested in crypto got stuck in it. Oh, yeah. It's going to 1 million. I'll buy right here. Get wrecked. Yeah, it's okay. And it's funny we're starting to see this because the market cap USDT dominance is starting to spike a little bit. A little bit. Went down to 3.8%, bounced up to 4.3%, came back down to about 4%. So you'll notice Bitcoin goes up. Not all the money's going into altcoins. Some of it's going into stables. This is a good chart to kind of know like where money's going. I guess I should add USDC and DAI onto this for the major stable coins. It's not all of them, but it's most of it. TUSD kind of like sucks. And then UST collapsed. So, you know, there's not too many out here. But this thing, man, it was raising pretty substantially, especially between, I mean, it's been raising for a long time. It's rounding off, though. Dropped down pretty significantly since, where was it? Yeah, right here, October 2023. Remember what I told you that Bitcoin started going up October 2023, and a lot of like the altcoin market cap was going up October 2023. It's because USDT dominance dropped about 57%, 55%. So a lot of the stables from the bear market started piling up all up in there, and you saw what it did to the prices. I mean, prices kind of went ham. Book of memes up 2,000%. That's ridiculous. So I went into like one of my wallets and I found that I had a meme coin called Kulo. It's a Polygon meme. It's 29 million. It's been going up ham. What the hell? It's gonna head and shoulders and fall down for sure. But that's funny. Kulo, go check it out. 61 people. It's good. I got super wrecked and got stuck in OXT. Bought in at 61 cents and watched it fall to 4 cents. Yeah, man. So I'm saying, like, last cycle even like tricked me, man. That was ridiculous. It was like the worst altcoin season. But like, it makes sense though if you're open to the possibility that cycles are lengthening. We did not get a euphoria phase last cycle. It makes sense if you think like market cap get bigger, longer time to get the same amount of money to move the market cap in a similar way. But now we have that big money injection we did not have in 2020, 2021. We got BlackRock, the biggest like money manager in the world here, and all the 401ks. There we go. So if you think of why did 2017 move so crazy and 2020 didn't move that crazy, it's because 2017 was the first time Coinbase, the largest exchange in the ever, started adding altcoins. They used to only offer Bitcoin. Then they started adding Ethereum, then Litecoin, then yada, yada, yada. And people got mainstream. You didn't have to go send stuff somewhere or mine it or do something weird. You could just hook up your bank account and buy it. That was the first injection of huge liquidity that wasn't there before. 2020 was more or less driven by like leverage and FTX and the same crypto bros that have been in crypto. It was kind of the same money moving around and even making fake money. Shout out to Sam Bankman-Fried. But now we got real new money up in here. Like real new money. Money that's never touched it before. You got institutions running freaking nodes and stuff. Trading it. Like real institutions. Not like Three Arrows Capital. Not like baby midget institutions. We're talking about like the biggest of the big. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see, man. Hey, Daddy-O, what's good? Yeah, I thought it was so hilarious when people saying 2020, we have institutions here. It's like, no, we don't. Not the ones that matter. Sorry about it, crypto hedge funds, but y'all ain't that big. We're talking about like the big boys, and the big boys are here now. So they can move the market, even though it's a big market cap. They have the potential to move the market cap in the same velocity and intensity that we saw in 2017. It's all about the injection of the liquidity into the market cap. Yes, crypto is big as compared to 2017, but it is not big compared to the S&P 500. And now we have like money that was made from the S&P and the NASDAQ and the big stock markets of the world, injecting that big money into this small asset class. It is still small. It's smaller, what? How much market cap does gold have? 10 trillion? Gold's pretty small. I mean, compared to like bonds, compared to like derivatives, like only a small percentage of the quadrillion of dollars has to find its way into crypto to explode it to the ceiling. It cannot handle it. There is not enough liquidity for it. It's going to start gapping it. And that's the thing. How close are we to that? Closer than I've ever been. It used to be, we used to dream about having ETF, a spot back ETF, not some lame like thing, which this ETF still is pretty. They have an option to cash settle it. So like, watch, that's going to be a thing sometime down the line. But right now, the narrative is we have a spot Bitcoin ETF. And whatever people believe is what happens in the market. It's all psychological manipulation. You look into Maple Finance? No, what is that, man? Is that Dex or something? Hey, what's good, man? Yeah. I'm going to throw up this, what do you call it? I'm going to invite you guys on. It's Saturday. Let's chill. Let's kick it. If you want to come say what's up to the homies, click the link. I just dropped it in the chat here on the screen. Pop up in here. I'll put you on. We'll say what's up. Just give me your thoughts on the market. That's all I'm interested in. Just hear you guys what you're thinking. This is a community first. Sometimes it's just me rambling. I know. At least that's what it feels like. But it's cool to meet you guys. Say what's up if you want to. Of course, I'm not forcing anybody. 65 people. What's good? And it's good to see the viewership growing. That's how you know there's more mainstream interest in the crypto. You could use my view count as an example. Right now, this might be, I don't even know. This might be across both platforms. Are saying 65 between X and YouTube, which is a lot of people for me. For my little itty bitty channel. But yeah, guys, while I wait, I really do think 2024 is the year, guys. It's early in 2024. Why you do this? Reload. Early in 2024. And the reason I say that is charts suggest one thing, but you never have the fundamental reason as to why, right? You never know. You never know. Until it shows up. And then all of a sudden it's very obvious and everyone's like, oh, we're going to this and that. But don't you notice at the points when it's uncertain, people get less loud? But when it's very certain, they get very loud. Look, I'm making a call here. Y'all at some point have to make a call on crypto. There is no absolutes. This is a new asset class. There's no absolutes in investing, especially in high profit potential asset classes. I'm calling 2024. That's why I drew this out. I think this is the time frame. I don't see a future where the Fed can hold this together into 2025. I don't. I think it's perfect time because this is an election year. A lot of things are lining up. This is the halving. Um, things are starting to fall apart. Economic data is getting worse. And unless they just want to give the election to Trump, I think the United States Federal Reserve is going to support its acting president. That's who they report to, at least allegedly report to. And they're going to try and make him look good. I mean, Biden really isn't doing that great, especially with the State of the Union. Didn't go over too well, So we'll see. We will see. There's a lot of things going on in the world too. I mean, there's a whole migration crisis going on. There's an affordability crisis going on. There's unemployment crisis going on, all under the tutelage of Joe Biden. And we all know that they like to all manipulate things to make it look like they're doing better than they really are. This is the prime time. It's the prime time for something to come out of the woodworks in terms of monetary policy. And that's something that a lot of people in crypto don't talk about. It's the monetary policy. It's all monetary policy. That's why Bitcoin was invented, guys. It was invented to soak up the inflation of bad monetary policy. Okay? And they've been tightening this thing for a long time now. We saw them raising interest rates. That's what brought the 2021 bear market, why it started going down. If you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't know. Jerome Powell came out and said, we're going to start raising interest rates. Because at that point, inflation was going ham. Remember, you probably saw at the pump. Over here in SoCal, we were paying $7, $8 a gallon of gas. And people were looking at it and like shaking their heads at the pump. Just look around when these things happen. Like, you ever seen The Big Short? Where they actually go out and they ask people, like, how many houses do you have, to see if they had a housing bubble? And people, strippers, they were saying they had like 2 houses and 3 houses and stuff. And they verified through just doing their like on the ground research that there was a housing bubble. I was doing the same thing. I was going out when the peak inflation. I went out to a car dealership and said, hey man, like, when do you guys think you're going to get new cars? And he said, we might never get new cars. Right? That's when the dealerships were asking for premiums on top of sticker. Prices were just flying up. Gas was flying up. Food was flying up. Remember eggs? That was wild. But then Jerome Powell comes out again and starts raising interest rates. Starts to bring things down. Yeah, it tames inflation because it parks the money. It starts to slow the money velocity. Inflation happens between money velocity and money supply. It's not just printing. Because in 2008, they printed a lot of money. But we didn't start seeing a lot of that inflation because it was stuck in the banking system. It went to the banks and it sat there. But in 2020, when the pandemic happened, they started giving money out to the populace, direct cash checks. And those people took that money and started buying things like eggs, like gas, like cars, like yada, yada, yada. You start to see the money tick up. To stop that, Jerome Powell came out and started raising interest rates to make it more attractive to not spend your money, to park it in the bank to get yield. But when you do that, you bring the inflation down, but you also start to bring asset prices down. Asset prices is what all this is built on. 401ks, everything. Okay? So they're now in a catch-22. They can continue to keep things elevated while things fall apart around them. And they could even risk a stock collapse, which would get them in really hot water, because the biggest generation in human history pretty much has their whole livelihood staked on stocks and 401ks, right? So they're dancing between a very difficult line. They stayed into 2023, then 2024, they're going to start bringing down interest rates because they want to give the perception that they have inflation under control. But they know that if they ever start to bring inflation, interest rates down, inflation will continue. That's why they started raising it. Then it went sideways. And they said, we're going to hold it. And they're coming to the end of holding it. I think at some point they're going to start lowering it. And then inflation is going to go through the roof. Now, why I bring this up? I talk about the roaring 20s. I talk about the potential of having a blow off top before the crash. That's essentially what that would cause. Bringing down interest rates would be like risk on for assets. They'd start running. They'd run very fast pretty high, just like the 1929. And then inflation will get so crazy. Inflation will go wild. And if that happens, then they'll do something like Volcker and they'll push everything up overnight, 20% interest rates. Boom. Stop the inflation, but kill the economy. We'll see. Is that stupid? Not sure. Not sure. Dub, you get into yield farming? If so, what kind and how much of your portfolio is in it? Not so much yield farming, just single coin staking. I used to do yield farming, but I hate impermanent loss. It's a super pain in the ass to manage impermanent loss. And sometimes, like, I mean, you go after these high yield percentages, right? Like super high percentages because they're trying to compensate you for the amount of permanent loss you're getting. So like I like dexes that give me a single coin stake so I don't suffer any permanent loss. And I just make money on the dex coin yield. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I learned that from Cake. Cake just had like a vault where it would like pay stakers for the liquidity through like slow inflation over time of their coin, right? So you use time to your advantage. You just collect the coin. And then when the coin runs up, that's when you capitalize and get your rewards. But yeah, yield farming is not easy to make money. Like you can do it, but you gotta know what you're doing. Like you gotta be running numbers and like kind of modeling it out. Because like what you have is usually the liquidity is given in the form of a dual token system, right? You put one coin in and another coin in at an equal amount, and then you provide into the liquidity pool, and then you get a yield. But at the whole time, those values of both those coins is moving like this. So you might withdraw and get less of one and more of the other. I'm sure you've seen that. I just don't. I'm not a big fan of like suffering any loss. So if I could find a DeFi opportunity at single yield stake, it's superior. In terms of risk, maybe not all situations, but in terms of risk, I think it's superior. Yeah, man. So that's the whole thought process on that. And it's been about an hour, guys. I'm gonna give you 5 more minutes if you want to jump on. Again, here's a link. If not, I get it. And I'll send you on your merry way. That's my thought process, guys. It's my thought process. If you understand what's happening here from a macro standpoint and from like why Bitcoin was made standpoint, a lot of these narratives just don't make any sense and you won't even pay any attention. Hyper Bitcoinization. I mean, I get why they're saying that in terms of like, oh, they think like all these altcoins are dumb or whatever. But then why does Satoshi build in the option to fork? See, like I feel like a lot of Bitcoin maxis don't read the white paper. I mean, forking is a very needed function. It's to prevent control. And that's what's happening with Bitcoin now. A lot of the powers that be are trying to corral it and control it. That's why forking is absolutely necessary, but never talked about. It's always just like people see forks as inconvenient, but they were literally built into the code of Bitcoin. That's the funny part. That's the funny part, man. Hey, I don't know. Am I off base on that? I think alts are needed. I think having the option of choice is critical. Critical. And that's why I'm super, super bull on interoperability. Because I don't ever want to get pigeonholed. I want to move here. I want to move there. I want to go wherever I want. I want to be elusive. I want to decentralized interoperability. Decentralized. Hey, gonna be honest. Most solutions out here today are not decentralized interoperability. You saw that multi-chain. Multi-chain was not decentralized. That's the thing. It has to be decentralized. Decentralize everything. Do you follow real estate tokens? I mean, somewhat. I mean, I've been following some for a long, long time, like Proppy. Just haven't seen them get any like real traction as of yet. Chentai, I believe, on EOS. There's probably more now. I think at some point real estate tokens will be big, but I think they're going to be on Ethereum. They're going to be ERC20. Yeah, because that's obviously the account-based blockchain that I think that powers that be want to get a lot of assets on. What do you think about it? Because look, Bitcoin was made like it. Whoever made Bitcoin, it got released and kind of like fairly distributed. Ethereum, for the most part, wasn't. Ethereum seems like the response to Bitcoin from the powers that be. And there's some reasons I think that I'm not gonna get to it now. You know, but when it comes to real estate, it's not going to be on a bunch of blockchains. It's probably gonna be on one. And I think a lot of these blockchains is gonna be they're gonna have use cases for certain things. Gonna be right now we're in the like exploding mode where like all these blockchains are coming out and they're fighting for niches. And then over time, they're gonna find their thing, their thing, their thing. You know what I mean? But I think Ethereum right now, a lot of the real or asset stuff probably gonna be slotted on there. Um, just not a huge fan of Ethereum because of gas fees, man. I know they just did their freaking Dun 10 whatever upgrade. Still not enough. We'll see. We'll see. But no, I don't really have that much real asset like tokenization stuff. Raven coin, that was one. I think we're a little bit away from that, man. I think we're a little bit away from that in terms of like first we got to get the money thing down. This transition might be a while. We might be another 10 years, in terms of like the whole digital economy flourishing. I think we're just starting to come to terms of the money part. And that's the most basic part. Then everything else will kind of flourish, right? Talk to some brokers and they are finally talking about it. They think 2 to 3 years and it should have some bigger adoption. Yeah, maybe next cycle. Maybe next cycle because like some what do you call it? Some blockchain use cases are great. Like I think there's huge potential in them, right? Like I always thought real estate best way to sell a house was on the blockchain. But it requires the industry to shift itself, a traditional industry to shift. Watch how long it's taken to get banking to start to be open to shifting. Then you got to do that for real estate. Then you got to do that for like decentralized power, right? Like I always was a big fan of like Power Ledger. But one thing about me, man, sometimes I'm early, like real early, like a decade early. That's one thing I've noticed about like my ideas. Sometimes it's like ahead of its time a little bit. And I've always said like the centralized power, wow, that's the thing. That's the thing. But then you got to build like transformers that like could handle that. And you got to tie it into the power grid if it's going to like supplement. And you got to like situate the batteries on houses. Like it takes time in the physical world. Not everything's just like code. Right? Like, how do you like? Yeah, I get it. It's a store of like electricity that you could sell back and this and that, but like you got to build the mechanism that harnesses electricity, and that's the long part. Same thing with property. You got to change like the whole industry, have it accept it. Basically, that would probably mean like getting rid of like real estate agents. That would be contentious, right? There's like real world problems in these things, you know. But I heard that there was like a lawsuit that could potentially affect the 6% commission on real estate agents recently. So I think real estate agents, if you are a real estate agent, just know I think that in an attempt to bring down the overall cost of housing, they're going after the real estate agent. Unfortunately. Fortunately, but unfortunately, you know what I mean. Unfortunately for the real estate agents. Tesla almost did it with a tower that got energy from the earth. Yep. Alternating current versus direct current. Alternating current basically had like a rod and copper coil wrapped around it and will pull out electricity from the air. And Tesla died. And then somehow we just ended up with direct current. It's because you can't monetize alternating current. It's decentralized power. It's power everywhere. It's abundant power. It makes power not that valuable because it's so abundant. So a lot of these things on the earth, man, a lot of these things it's all about the money. That's why they say the money is the root of all evil, because it causes evil people to do evil things, right? It's a lot of things, guys, a lot of things that we've actually came and found solutions for that just aren't popularized, right? You might just never have heard of it. It's not like it doesn't exist. Just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? But I mean, if you're in crypto, you probably know that. When I got into crypto and I started seeing Bitcoin run up in 2017 like that, yeah, I knew about Bitcoin. But when I started seeing what it was doing, like actually doing, I was like, my mind got blown wide open. Anything was on the table at that point. Right? I was under the illusion that money had to be hard to make. Like you had to grind, you had to sweat grind to get any little dime and dollar. And then I never made money that fast. And I just blew my mind wide open. It was like a newborn's eyes, man. So crypto has the ability to do that to you. Because if you got this wrong, what else did you get wrong? I mean, if you got one thing wrong that you thought was for sure in life, and you get that turned on its head, it makes you look at everything else in life and wonder what else you got wrong, and what else the world got wrong, and what else you weren't told about. You know what I mean? Hey, maybe that's a little conspiratorial. Tesla almost did. Oh, yeah. Laughing. Yeah. All right, guys. If you don't want to talk, that's cool. I get it. I'm not offended. I'll just go about my Saturday and let you go too. This is Dub Digital. I do this twice a week, sometimes 3 times. This is my 3rd time, usually on Tuesdays, Thursdays, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Saturdays, mostly around 9:30, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's been fun, guys. Until next time. Oh, yeah, and please give me a subscribe and a like. That'd be cool. Talk to you later. Peace.